Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today for Live at Lunchtime. Today, I don't know if you can tell, I'm not feeling very well. My voice is a bit croaky, so I've been sick for the last couple of days, which is why I wanted to talk about working solo in your property business. Now, I pretty much I started working solo in mine. I did have a joint venture partner who brought in the funds, but I did like 100% of the work. So I was the one in the day-to-day finding properties, managing the refurbishment, finding the tenants, managing tenants, all of that stuff was down to me in the very beginning of my property business. Now, over time, I did build a team, but I did manage everything myself to get started with. And when you are sick, or when you want to go on holiday, or when something happens, that's when things get really difficult if it's just you working in your business. So that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, just because it all came back to me now that I'm not feeling very great. I am working solo myself in a couple of other projects that we're working on, and things have had to be a bit more flexible. So the first thing you need to do if you are working just yourself in your business is make sure you've got a plan for what happens if, something happens to you. So what happens if you get sick? What happens if, you get injured? So it's kind of like having that little bit of a backup plan just so that things continue running, even if you're not there 100%. Now, most of the time, we just get a little bit of a cold. Things, just have to slow down that little bit. So have a plan for, how can you still make sure everything's running. Now that might be, you've got a friend or a family member that can kind of step in for a little bit. Maybe what I love is you've got enough systems in place that, things can run for a little while without you. Having a way to easily check and reply to emails, I find really helpful. So even, when I'm sick, I can still do pretty much everything I need to do from my mobile phone. So all of the important stuff I can do from my mobile. I can answer emails, I can text all my builders, I can call people, I can kind of manage my properties from there. So making sure that you're set up to work remotely. The same thing has to happen if you want to go on holiday. So I get a lot of my students who, they get those first few properties and they're like, oh, things are going great, and they want to go on holiday. And they're like, well, how do I do that? How do I manage everything and still be able to go on holiday? So it's just setting up those systems and thinking through things. In the very beginning, you're not going to be able to do those things. So you're going to have to just play it by ear and get the structure going. But as you, get used to doing things, once you've done everything once, you can start putting those systems in place so that you can go on holiday, so that if you get sick, you can work at, 20, 30% for a few days if you need to. Then, if something bigger were to happen, you need to make sure that you've got your passwords somewhere so that somebody else can log in and access everything if needed. So, I wouldn't, probably not your online banking unless it's like, sorry about that, unless it's a business partner or a close friend, but access to emails, important documents, property management software, that type of thing, just so that if something happens to you, you're offline for a while, somebody else can step in and take care of things. So a lot of what we need to be thinking about is future proofing and planning and systems. In the beginning, this is all going to be a lot. So I say to people, don't worry too much about being like, I need to figure out all the systems from day one. Your systems will evolve over time. But the better systems and the better processes you have in place, and the more you can do without paper. So the more paperless you can be, the more you can do from your mobile phone, the easier it is to work solo in your property business. I know when we're getting started, we've got all the energy and we think everything's going to be fabulous, and we don't think about the time of, what happens when I get sick, even if it's just a cold, and those days where you're just like, I can't get out of bed, my head is banging, I've lost my voice, you're just feeling miserable. The last thing you want to do is have to, go on site and manage your builder, or, go meet that new tenant that's moving in and do a check-in. So having little systems in place so that the tenant can check themselves in. so that, you can just send the builder a text and they can let themselves in. They've got a key or there's a key safe on the property. So just having those little things in place. And even if you're not sick, it just makes life easier. So while your builder's on one site, you don't have to go and let him in. You can be working on another project. You can be doing something else. Again, doing tenant check-ins is not something that's, adding loads of value to your business. So if you can have that kind of systemized so you or somebody else doesn't have to be there, it makes it a lot easier for you to do all of the other things that are important in your business. So as you're building your business, be thinking about, what can I automate? What can I kind of just get rid of altogether? What is that stuff that I'm doing that I don't really need to do, that nobody needs to do? And then what can I automate to make everything as streamlined, as easy as possible, so that, like me, if you're feeling a bit sickly and under the weather, you don't have to worry about it. You can give yourself that space, because this month it's all about, working smarter, not harder, and giving yourself that space and having that balance. And part of having that balance is making sure you've got the systems in place and making sure you've got the processes in place, so that when you're feeling under the weather, you can take care of yourself. Because if you're not at 100%, it gets harder and harder and harder to keep pushing forward and building your business. And especially in those early years, you you need as much energy as possible to put towards your business and to build things and to be in that massive growth phase. So you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, so that you're not getting run down, so that you've got that balance. It is so, so important. I know a lot of people are, and it's just so ingrained in us from the very beginning, all through school and our working careers, that, the harder you work, the better. But that just leads to so many problems in the long run, where I think the smarter you work, the better. And the more prepared you are, the better. So that you can have that balance, so you don't wear yourself out. So you can continually be doing the things that are important to your business, the things that are making money in your business. And when you need to, you can step back and relax. So think through your systems. How can you make sure that everything keeps running smoothly when you step back and take some time out? So what are those systems that you can put in place? Now, I talk about quite a lot of them in my different books and in my training programs. And my next book, which was already supposed to have come out, but will hopefully be coming out next year, the third book in my Rent to Rent series, is going to be all about systemizing. So it's systemizing to scale. So we're really going to be digging deep into those systems. So if you're interested in learning more about systems and you want me to write that third book, leave me a comment, because I'm really struggling to get the motivation to write another book. It's hard work. And as you know, I don't really like working hard, so I'm trying to find the smart way to do it. But oftentimes, so if you want that third book, let me know in the comments, send me a private message, give me a little bit of motivation. Otherwise, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be recording my first 2 books as audiobooks. So those should come out early next year. So if you don't like reading books and you've been waiting for the Audible version, then your wait will soon be over. Hopefully my voice sounds better and I feel better in the next couple of weeks for when I start recording, but those will be coming out next year, so early 2020, I think. Anyways, that is enough for now. Get your systems in place. Make sure you take care of yourself so that you can focus on the things that need focusing on. And I will see you next week.